Alright, so I guess I've let this thing work for about 5 minutes and let it do all the work, and I've been puttering around doing not much of anything. This is just what you're looking for, though. You see that? All one piece. Oh, look. It's a tornado. Okay. And you see how it's holding together, and it's cohesive and elastic. See, it will, if you look at the surface of your bread, of your dough, you'll get a lot of movement before you actually see those strands beginning to break. And it's really not sticky. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a little sticky, but not nearly what a wetter dough would be. Far, far worse. Okay? So, now I'm going to make a trade-off here. I have one that I did this morning. Sourdough bread, you can't tell. In some kitchens, in some locations, it will take an hour to rise or an hour for the sponge to proof. In my kitchen, for some reason, the sponge will proof very quickly, but the bread takes a while to rise. So I guess this has had about 4 hours or so. So all I did was I took this and I put it in a bowl with a little bit of olive oil around it, and I let it come to about double. At that point, you simply punch them down. So I'm going to try to trade hands. Let's see if I can pull this off. Now, he goes in there. Plop. There's still plenty of olive oil in there. He's going to go rise. This one, and all I'm doing is pulling and tucking under. I'm going to form him into the classic ball, thick San Francisco sourdough, which I've had, by the way. It's unbelievable. The strain of yeast that makes San Francisco sourdough doesn't live anywhere else. It's amazing. So you can only get it there. I've got bread ready. Now, he's going to sit on the parchment paper until he has doubled in size. I'm going to pull that out of the oven, and I'll be... Alright, this looks a little bit different because I actually fell asleep, and I ended up having to bake off the other loaf real quick, which is no big deal. I had this one coming from the demonstration anyway. So this one has about doubled in size. And what I did on this one, the first one I did on parchment paper. This one I just threw some cornmeal down on the baking sheet. Either one works just as well. You just want to keep it from sticking to your baking sheet. I've got my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm actually, you know what? Let's turn him up to 375. Only because my oven is cranky and it doesn't hold heat well. So he's doubled in size, and this is our sourdough. Traditionally, a sourdough, you can exit or you can make a straight line. Sourdough, this is going to be, I like showing this. It's going to create a fault line almost in this one. It's going to expand to one side more than the other. So I'm going to make an X, and you'll see when it comes out that half of the X, it was like, it went one way. The other half, it just simply rose up through. Make sure you have a very sharp knife. And all this is, I mean, it's traditional, yes, and it looks good. But all you're doing there is giving the loaf room for expansion. And I don't know if you can catch this. Can you get in here close enough to see this? Can you see right there, inside that fault line, you see how those nice big fat holes are starting? That's beautiful. Am I in your way? Am I creating a shadow? Can you see it? Okay. That's a good thing. We like that. Okay. Make sure he's got room to move. Alright, so here we go. We're going to give him about half an hour. And since we're not after the same kind of crust that you would put, say, on a French bread or a baguette, you can go at a lower temperature for a longer period of time. And actually, if you're using a French bread recipe, which I have a video on French bread, you can make a loaf of white bread, the same recipe, by cooking it at 350 instead of 400. You just let it go for a longer period of time. It makes a softer inside and a softer crust. Alright, so that's it. I'm going to work on supper for my kids. This is chicken and dumplings back here. I'll be back in half an hour, and I'll show you what the French bread looks like coming out of the oven. No, sourdough. It's sourdough! Okay, my timer just went off. Let's check the sourdough. Not French bread, it's sourdough. Ooh. Here. Oh yeah. All right, a couple of things that you're looking for. Remember we talked about how you've got a natural yeast and there's gluten, which forms almost a network. The yeast releases gas bubbles, which are trapped within the gluten network, and that's what gives rise to the bread. It expands. Now, what it will also do is create these lovely bubbles. Okay, you see? And I also talked about how we have a fault line, and actually this time it was kind of even. Normally I have bread that goes one way more than the other. Now, the final thing is, okay, come here so you can hear it. What you're looking for is the sound, that hollow sound. And that is what's going to let you know that your bread is done. Now, I can't cut him open yet because it would absolutely fry my fingers. And although I do have asbestos hands, this is a little too hot even for me. So let's give him 10 or 15 minutes to come down to temperature where I can show you what the interior is supposed to look like. And one of the things I do want to show you is how the texture of a sourdough that's my puppy. How the texture of sourdough differs from regular French bread or white bread. So we're going to let him cool down. I'll be back in just a few minutes.